Welcome, everyone, to the Obtuse Angles podcast with Kyle and Jeremy. Kyle Fields, former indie worker, comedian, podcaster, unemployed, by God radio broadcaster. Jeremy, bam, bam, boom, boom, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Iron Mike, the professor, the southern dandy, flyboy, the golden child. 10 minutes on either side of putting a ham in the smokehouse. Stacko Lee Sutherland. Also, a comedian, a podcaster, an IT man to the dango stars. And today, my fellow detective, as we take a sneak peek into an old school mystery, a murder mystery that was solved, but then had a couple of epitaphs. We're talking about that bastard Shane Ragland and the murder of Trent, and I'm going to get this right, Trent DiGiuro. Jeremiah, what's going on?
Man, how long in that? Because every time we do an episode, I have to sit here for like the first minute 10 seconds and wait while you get that whole intro out.
Yeah.
And every time I wonder, and I always forget to ask, how long are you going to be an unemployed radio broadcaster? And that's like a little underhanded way for me to ask you, when are you going to get off your ass and get a job?
Oh, I'm sorry if sitting around my house smoking weed and playing Castlevania isn't a job.
The people don't understand is this lifestyle is a choice.
Exactly. I'm the employee of the month every goddamn month in my house. How you feel about that, motherfucker?
Does your wife make you like a little tag and she's got you a plaque with a picture and says employee of the month here?
Oh, we're not talking
makes you feel
anymore.
Special.
We're not talking anymore.
Oh, you're not. Okay, good.
No. I mean, I think she's definitely sick of me being here all the time. I mean, no doubt about that.
Yeah. Just small doses, man. A little you goes a long way.
Yeah, we talk about an hour a week, and I could tell by 30 minutes into the phone call, you're done. You're done. Well, I'll tell you somebody else was done. That's the bastard Shane Ragland. He's still alive. He's free. But we're going to be talking about all of that coming up in this episode, man. And here's the thing is that this is such an interesting story. Everybody locally in Lexington followed this throughout the 90s and 2000s. But if you're not in Kentucky, I don't know if you've heard of this story. It's not been really covered all that much. And that blows my mind because this thing has more twists and turns than a goddamn M. Night Shyamalan movie. How's that for a non-dated reference? Christ almighty, Kyle.
UK basketball players are so revered and so loved that like even some old racist piece of shit from Eastern Kentucky that people forget to be horrible. Like they're like, well, it's like
it's amazing. It's amazing because here's the thing: unless you're from Kentucky, you really do not honestly understand the allure and the appeal and how gigantic UK basketball is to the culture. Yeah. Because especially if you're in Eastern Kentucky, obviously there's the legacy of that team there. It's the most winning team in college basketball history. It's won so many championships, but to a lot of those,
I was going to say, and with cause, right? Because Kentucky, we do a lot of things wrong here.
You know now that if you kick ass, regardless of how many fucking games you win, apparently, you're probably going to go to the NBA after about one season of UK basketball. So here's your point, because the guy that got murdered, and we're going to be talking about this story, obviously, in 1 second, was a UK football player. So are you saying that because he was a UK football player, everybody after a few years just forgot about it? If he were a basketball player, they would have put his face on the goddamn state flag.
Had it been a basketball player, they would have named a holiday after him. There would have been a statue erected to him right in downtown Lexington. I got to be honest, not for me, but for your average Central Kentuckian, yeah, the fact that it's a football player makes it a little less sad.
Well, and again, this is sad because this is back during the 90s.
It's horrible.
And this is almost back when the UK football wasn't doing too bad. So maybe this is why more people were paying attention back then. We're going to take you back to July 17th, 1994. So strap on your LA lights, turn on your Rocco's Modern Life, and get ready to put on some WCW Saturday Night because that's where we're going. Trent DiGiuro is a kid getting ready to enter his fourth season with the UK football team. He's a local kid. He's not, some imported badass football player. He's actually a walk-on, but he loved football. He was a good kid. He had average grades in high school, but he worked his ass off. He might not have been a book smart guy, but he was a street smart guy. And apparently he was a really great guy. He befriended the kids at school that got bullied. He just went out of his way to be a good guy. The first season of UK football, he didn't do so hot, but he busted his ass. He worked hard. He got more time in the second season. By the third, he was getting on up there. And by this season coming up, by the 1994 fall season, he was going to be, fucking getting a whole lot of time. But early on in the morning, he and his buddies are out there on, I guess, kind of around Euclid, that woodland area, where all the fucking old houses are, where all the crazy parties go down and the chicks, you go there to get fucked up and lower your standards like we all do.
Heard.
He's sitting one morning on the front porch in this big recliner. He's a huge guy. He's like over 6 foot tall. He's a fucking football player. And all of a sudden, his friends hear a loud bang. They stand up, they look around, they don't know where it is. They sit back down, they look over, and there's Trent dead. He's been shot in the head. Now, nobody could figure out what the fuck happened. I mean, it wasn't like there was some sort of house party and a guy pulled a gun, which is what the cops assume when they get the phone call. Trent didn't have any fucking enemies. That's the thing. I was reading an interview with the lead detective on this case. He said that when he heard there was a shooting, he thought it was going to be simple. But, he said, okay, usually it's a drug dealer. What happened? Well, it was a drug deal gone wrong. Was it this guy? Well, but there's no assumption because nobody knew what the fuck happened. And there was very little evidence. They know the bullet because it was lodged in his goddamn brain. But entered through his ear and went into his fucking brain. It was a hell of a fucking shot, man. It was one of those goddamn Oswald bullets. But nobody knew what the fuck happened. You know what I'm saying, Jeremy?
Yeah, they had no idea how he died, though they found the bullet hole in his head. What's going on here? People are dropping dead after being shot in the head? It's the weirdest thing.
I mean, they don't know who shot him.
Oh,
motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that what makes this an unsolved crime? Like, isn't that what makes this whole thing interesting, is that we don't know who did it? I mean, if they were like, yeah, that guy named Dave shot him right in the head and they took him to jail and he's still in prison.
All right, good night, everybody. We'll see you next week. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Obtuse Podcast. No, the detective takes all of the friends in who were sitting on the goddamn front porch with him. The detective assumes that one of these guys knows something. And none of them knows anything. And as a matter of fact, again, in the same interview that I read, the detective said that he really knew that nobody knew anything when one of his friends looks at him and says, look, you're going to catch the guy who did this, right? At that point, the detective was like, fuck, they really don't know shit. And guess what? Years go by. Years, because again, there's no fucking motive. They think that, they know where the fucking shooter was. He had set up his fucking gun with a stand across the street in a clearing where he could have shot him and then got the fuck away, which is what he did. So they know where the shot came from, but that's fucking it. They don't know jack shit.
See, I have these visions of an assassin in like a downtown on a rooftop. And he's got a scope, and you can see through the scope, and is shooting it directly into the window of an office building. And he's got, like, for some reason, he's got a black Scully cap on, and he delivers the shot, and then he takes out his cell phone, hits one button, and then goes, it's done. And then, like, throws the cell phone in a trash can, and he walks away. Like, it's right. Probably not nearly that visually interesting. But
no, it was not that visually interesting. But I'll tell you what was interesting was the years go by. Obviously, it's the talk of the town. Not only is this an unsolved murder, this is a goddamn unsolved murder with a 21-year-old UK star football player. Of course, people are going to be talking about this. The rumors flew, Jeremy. One of the rumors was, okay, well, this is a big guy, so obviously he was on steroids. So you know what I heard? It was a steroid dealer that shot him. That was the rumor around Lexington. It was a steroid, but it wasn't.
I feel like steroid dealers I always get the feeling that they're way less seedy than your run-of-the-mill drug dealer. Like, I feel like steroid dealers and methamphetamine dealers probably don't run in the same social circle.
No, I think a steroid dealer, I think of like a balding guy with back acne, tiny testicles, and a deep voice that you meet at a gym. And, you buy roids off him every week until like the third month when he doesn't show up because his heart exploded.
He always has a red face, no matter what. Like even like when he's working out, when he's not working out, he's always really red in the face.
Oh, all the time. Yeah, because the heart is just continuously struggling to pump blood. Close to a year after DiGiuro died, a woman went to a bar with her boyfriend at the time. According to NBC News, and this article is from sportscasting.com, while they were there, the two discussed the worst things they had ever done. Well, where is this going? Where is this going?
Never have I ever. Let's play an enthralling round of never have I ever. Ready? And she's like, took it in the butt, and he drinks, and then he's like, murdered a UK football player, and then she drinks.
Amy was the girl's name, and Jeremy, the conversation pretty much went just like that. Shane Ragland said, well, I'd say the worst thing I ever did. You know that Trent DiGiuro guy that got murdered last year and they can't find him? That was me. Hey, do you want some fried pickles? I don't know about the fried pickle line, but I think that's pretty much what happened because they were dating. He says it freaks her out. Then the relationship just goes on, and he never mentions it again. Amy says that she tries to put it out of her mind, and the years go by. But on the 5th anniversary of the death of this poor kid, Trent DiGiuro, the UK or the Lexington Herald Leader, prints a fucking article, saying, hey, it's the 5th anniversary. If you know anything, come forward. Well, at this point, finally, Amy reads this article and she goes to a lawyer because she's smart. She's protecting her ass. She can't go to the cops.
She wants to make sure that none of that stuff from playing Never Have I Ever comes back to haunt her. She's like, look, I've got to be able to confess this to you. I have to tell you what's going on, but at the same time, I have to protect myself. My family can never, ever, ever know that I had a threesome with 4 Persian guys and a pack of hot dogs. Okay, that cannot come up during this trial.
That's what she was really afraid of. That's what it was. She called Shane Ragland. She was like, I'm turning you in, Shane. Shane went, oh, really? Because someone might know you hooked up with a gym teacher in 8th grade. How you feel about that?
And she's like, yeah, but you didn't drink on that one. So obviously you did the same thing.
So she goes to her attorney friend. She discusses the situation. She says that she's afraid of what Ragland would do to her if he found out that she was revealing his secret. And, guess what? I understand that fear. He's already killed somebody else. So the attorney goes to the detective, Evans, who has been the detective in charge of this case the whole time, gives Evans the information, and that includes the name of the alleged killer. Okay, so we have the name of the killer, but again, this happened years ago. Why the fuck did he do it, Jeremy? Why the fuck would you kill a 21-year-old UK football player in cold blood? I'm going to give you a hint.
All I'm going to tell you is that you better have a damn good reason.
Well, it was over a fraternity.
Was this like fraternity hazing? like did he shoot him in the head and go, ha ha, got you good, faggot? Did he take a shit in the floor and go, clean that up, pledge?
Yeah, you could pick. You can either get shot in the head or fuck a goat in the closet. What do you want? The alleged killer was Shane Ragland, who also went to UK. So what was the alleged motive? Well, Ragland reportedly blamed the UK football player for him, quote, being blackballed from a fraternity, unquote. NBC News reported. So I looked into this a little bit more. Apparently, Trent DiGiuro, the guy who got killed, was sharing a dorm with another guy, and they both were pledging to get into a fraternity, and so was Shane Ragland. So Shane is visiting Trent and Trent's friend in the dorm one day, and they have this goddamn calendar up on the wall with all these hot UK chicks, because let's be honest, who doesn't love that? So Ragland, being the perennial douchebag that you're going to get throughout this entire story, sees one of the chicks in the calendar and he goes, oh, yeah, I fucked her. So he leaves, and Trent DiGiuro's roommate goes to the head of the fraternity because guess what? The head of the fraternity was dating the chick in that calendar. Are you confused yet? So Trent DiGiuro's roommate goes, hey, man, I just want you to know this guy Shane Ragland, this douchebag, was fucking bragging about fucking your old lady, bro. So Shane Ragland does not get into the frat. And Shane Ragland sees both Trent and the guy who really stooged him off on UK's campus. He approaches him and goes, hey, man, we were pledge bros. You're fucking stooging me off. I heard that you're the reason I didn't get in. And then Trent, because Trent actually wound up not pledging for the fraternity, so it didn't matter to him. Trent goes, hey, bro, look, Shane, it was me, man. I was the one who said something. So Trent was such a good guy, he was just stepping in to take the heat for his roommate. And that proved to be, that proved to be a fucking fatal.
That makes it so much worse. Like, because, like when you expect to hear that he was part of some kind of seedy, backhanded dealings or something like that. But turns out, like, he got shot in the head and he lost his life for trying to be like a nice guy. And that's the worst.
Yeah. And again, dude, keep in mind, this was 3 years earlier. Shane Ragland walked around with this seething hatred for Trent DiGiuro over not being able to pledge to a frat, which I'll be honest with you. I went to UK. I graduated from UK. I lived on campus for a year. If you're not in a frat, there is no chance you're getting pussy. So I kind of get that. I mean,
it's not you. It's definitely not the fact that you creep women out or you're a fucking grubby little weirdo. It's the damn fraternities that are holding the man down. Huh?
Wait a minute, hold on. Who's the grubby weirdo? Trent, or who's the grubby weirdo?
No,
Shane
you. No, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you. Yeah, no, absolutely, okay, 100% you.
Apparently, Shane Ragland was on his way home one night. He lived only up the road from Trent DiGiuro, and he sees that Trent is on his front porch in a chair. Shane goes, oh, this is my chance. He drives home. He gets a hunting rifle with the stand. He puts it in a bag. He gets on his bicycle. He rides the bike across backyards to be concealed.
Oh, it's even more of an insult. Like, he got murdered by a guy who don't even have a car. Like, he just has a bicycle.
Well, no, he was rich, so he had a car, but he also had a bike. Oh, yeah, we're going to see how rich he is coming up. He sets up the gun, picks him off. Nobody has any fucking idea, and he gets away with it for years. And apparently, Shane Ragland only told the one chick, and it took her the years to come forward. So she goes to the lawyer. The lawyer goes to the police. The police say, okay, listen, here's what we'll do. We'll get you a new name, a new social security, which is weird because I don't think any of that happened because we're talking about it right now.
Yeah.
But they say, look, we need you to wear a wire. So Amy hits up Shane because she hasn't talked to Shane in years. And Amy's like, hey, I just broke up with my boyfriend. Do you want to come to Lex and hang out? And dudes with pussy like a moth to a flame, baby. Yeah.
He's making up for all that pussy that the UK football players and frat players, they kept him from getting in college. So now he's going to make up for it.
So Shane comes back to Lexington, and there's actually audio of this that you can hear. They start talking about it, and Amy mentions to Shane, she goes, hey, that thing that you told me that you did all those years ago, that's kind of weighed on me. And then Shane is not an idiot. He's pretty smart because he says something to the effect of, you're kind of making me nervous. Are you setting me up? which is a little scary. But hey, to her credit, man, she fucking stayed with it. She goes, no, I just have to have some closure on this. And at that point, Ragland admits to it on the audio. He basically says, yeah, it's fucked up. I shouldn't have done it, but I got to move on. He
probably thought that if she was ever going to go to the police, it would have been sometime in that span of the 3 years, between then and when he actually confessed to the crime. So that probably helped him. Her waiting that long probably helped, close that, because if she had called him a week later and said, "Hey, do you want to go out?" And then as soon as they get out into a police, she's like, "So tell me again about this murder. What happened?"
Oh, no, absolutely. I'm sure. Yeah.
Give him time to drop his guard, I guess.
Well, but you're right about that, though. I mean, let's think about it this way. You're a murderer. You only confess to one person ever. You get a phone call, and then the moment that you get back, she brings it up. And here's what's hilarious, and here's what's so funny about guys, is that pussy is so strong, he still told her about it.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, he thought there was an off chance that might be something that she was like, that gets her motor running, Mm-hmm. I was like, oh my gosh, murder gets her in the mood.
Oh, you're saying that it was
what he was thinking.
Yeah, detail to me every single thing that you did, Shane. Oh, baby. All right. So then I washed my hands, and I put on a knitted cap, and I put on the gloves. I don't know, why is he Elvis?
Tell me the part about the bicycle again.
Yeah. Oh, what's your motive? Tell me your motive. So, and then he gets caught. She's wearing the wire. I'm assuming the cops were in a goddamn van eating donuts like in Stakeout.
Oh, it was Rosie O'Donnell and Emilio Estevez and Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah, God, you know all too much about that movie. I'll be honest with you.
It's such a good movie. And the sequel was even better.
There's no way that you think another Stakeout was better than Stakeout. And there's no way that 100...
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
There's no way that any of our audience knows what the fuck we're talking about either. So Ragland says, so she says, I need to get some closure. By the way, I'm reading the transcript right now. Ragland says, quote, I do too. I could tell you everything. I just needed to get it off my chest. To answer your question, I am very, very remorseful. Amy Amy says, quote, how could you be so stupid? Ragland says, I know I made the wrong decision, but there is nothing I can do now. There's nothing you can do. Maybe go to the fucking police, you piece of shit.
I like how she started to loosen up a little bit. Like after she got the infection and she knew it was all cool, she could blow the whistle like in any given second. The cops would swarm in, because they're listening on the... Like, I like how she loosened up, but she was like, that's stupid.
Yeah,
that's the dumbest thing that you could... You're a piece of shit. After she got the infection, it was just home free. You know what I mean? Like, she was free to do whatever.
I love that. Yeah, I bet you couldn't even pick that fucker off twice. That was a lucky shot. You little bitch. The cops come, and he gets arrested. And that's the thing. Before the cops even set her up, the police went to Trent DiGiuro's friends, and they had a list of a bunch of names. And Shane Ragland was one of those names. And one of Trent's boys goes, oh, Shane Ragland. He points right at it. And then he tells the story to the cops, and that's how the cops figure out the backstory. And the lead detective on this, Detective Evans, said, and I quote, that's why we never figured it out. It was so stupid. Because they could never figure out the motive because the motive was so fucking stupid.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, man. And that's what he ended another person's, and not just like a life. Like, this guy was a UK athlete, so his life is worth like 3 of your average Kentuckians. And he ended all 3 of those over something so ridiculous.
I'm going to read this from the Murderpedia article. Immediately, Ragland was transported to the Lexington Police Department, where he maintained his innocence throughout a videotaped interview. 1 month later, he was released from jail after his father, Jerry Ragland, posted a $1 million bond. Unlike most defendants charged with murder, Ragland remained free pending trial, which commenced in March 2002. So I remind you, the murder happens in 94. He's still free in March of 2002. 8 years have gone by. And I've read interviews with Trent DiGiuro's family. He came from a good family. They loved him. Apparently, every Thanksgiving, Trent's friends come over to Trent's parents' house, and they have dinner, and they talk about Trent, and they look at old photos. Like, it's a fucking heartbreaking thing, man. And terrible. Meanwhile, speaking of fathers, Shane Ragland's father, by the way, Jerry Ragland, if you lived in Lexington at this time, you know that name. He was rich. He was like a rich, I think, business owner, which is why Shane Ragland had all the goddamn money in the world to mount these Herculean legal defenses. And oh, you want to talk about the system fucking somebody? Oh, just wait and see. Despite her reluctance, Amy Lloyd agreed to testify at trial, serving as the prosecution's star witness. Other evidence against Ragland included his rifle and his ammunition, which were considered a match to the murder weapon, but could not be conclusively linked to the crime. In addition, the prosecution outlined for the jury that Ragland had the motive, the means, and the opportunity to kill Trent DiGiuro. Now, the team of three starred defense attorneys fired back, saying that Lloyd was nothing more than a bitter ex-girlfriend who admitted that she hated Ragland and who police shrewdly used to trap their client. Further, they discounted being blackballed from a fraternity as a believable motive for murder. Well, no fucking shit!
Well, I think it all depends on how unhinged you are as a person, because you can't pretty much anything be a motive for murder if you're crazy enough.
Right. That's the kind of person who's never had somebody cutting them off in traffic be the motive for murder. You know what I'm saying?
That's something normies say.
Yeah. Whoever would murder somebody over a personal grudge? Who would ever do something like that? Who would ever hold on to that hate and let it fester and grow over years?
Yeah, for me personally, I think 20 minutes went by one time where I didn't want to murder somebody over a personal grudge. It was weird. It was like a Thursday.
You've wanted to kill me 3 times since this podcast started. At the conclusion of the 3-week trial, the jury returned a guilty verdict, and the judge sentenced Ragland to 30 years. Now, that should be the end of the story, and furthermore, 30 fucking years, I'm sorry. Longer, man.
That should be 3 counts of murder.
Absolutely.
3 counts of murder 1. Absolutely.
It depends. How instrumental was he to the team? What were how far did the team go that year? If they at least
how many yards did he rush for last season?
Did the team at least make it? How many? Did the team at least make it to the Music City Bowl that year? Here's the deal, though. See, Jeremy, this is where good old America comes into play. What followed was a convoluted legal battle. Several months after the trial, it was determined that an FBI bullet analyst inexplicably lied on the stand during a pretrial hearing in the Ragland case. After reviewing the matter, Fayette Circuit Judge Thomas Clark determined that the inaccurate testimony was inconsequential. So Ragland's still in jail. Basically, what's going on
is a payday, right? Like that forensics technician, the bullet expert or whatever, like that's got to be a payday, right? You said Ragland's father was rich.
So Ragland's,
I'm thinking it sounds like if this were an episode of Law and Order, absolutely, the rich dad paid him off, and then we'll find out before the credits roll what happened as they're all getting arrested and justice is served.
Well, unfortunately, I'm telling you, if this were a Law and Order, this would at least be a 2-parter, because Ragland's daddy is just pumping money into this fucking legal team. And now that Ragland was found guilty, they're going over all of the trial, trying to figure out some way to get in there to get him to, redo the trial. So that doesn't work. And it continues. In an unrelated appeal, the defense claimed the prosecutor violated Ragland's constitutional rights during closing arguments by referring to the fact that he had refused to testify. Now, that's a pretty big deal. That's fucking stupid. That's fucking stupid. I know, based on what little of CSI or whatever that I've watched, that if I'm prosecuting you, Jeremy, and you refuse to, basically incriminate yourself or say anything by pleading the fifth, I can't go to the jury and say, well, look at old Jeremiah here. This motherfucker won't even talk. You know what I'm saying? It's your constitutional right, and that is what the lawyer did. Now, the Kentucky Supreme Court agreed and ordered a new trial, but later, in a highly unusual move, agreed to reconsider its ruling. In the meantime, the defense filed yet another appeal. So they're just doing everything they can to get this seedy motherfucker out of prison. this time challenging the type of bullet analysis used in Ragland's case, a method the FBI had since stopped using because it was unreliable. This time, Ragland was successful and his conviction was overturned. You love the goddamn American justice system, huh? Don't you love that?
Oh, yeah.
Don't you? I remember when that happened, there were cartoons of OJ calling Shane Ragland in the Lexington newspaper, and he said, "Hey, bro, you want to go find the real killers?" But by then, here's...
Oh, Herald Leader. Oh, the Lexington Herald Leader.
Here's the deal, though, man. By then, guess what? A retrial was not an option. In convincing Amy Lloyd to testify the first time, prosecutors had promised her that she would not have to cooperate any further, meaning that they had lost their star witness. The whole goddamn case hung on the ballistics information and Amy's testimony. So when you don't have the ballistics anymore and your fucking star witness is gone, guess what? You're fucked. So they tried to offer...
scouring like Plenty of Fish and OkCupid, trying to find some more random hoes that he went on a date with and see if he confessed to them as well. That's where I would start.
It's the darndest thing. All his other exes died by choking themselves to death. It's crazy. He got off. He got a deal. Confess, plead guilty to a reduced charge, and walk away with a punishment of time served, which amounted to 4 years and 3 months behind bars. Immediately after the hearing, Ragland retracted his confession. Oh, you know what, guys? I didn't do it. I didn't know. I was joking. Trent's dad said, quote, "It chapped my ass pretty good, but at that point it was all we were going to be able to get. The fact is that he had a conviction overturned on evidence that was insignificant." Given how much Ragland likely shelled out for his defense, by the way, Jeremy, an amount that some observers estimate exceeded $2 million, DiGiuro's father isn't surprised. Quote, "I think everyone realized if it had been some poor kid from a ghetto, he'd still be in jail, and he never would have had all these appeals and top-flight lawyers." Hey, guess what, though? Shane Ragland still got fucked because his daddy took a wrongful death lawsuit and wound up with a settlement, which he never got paid, by the way, of $63.3 million. So... the whole reason that DiGiuro said that he went for that amount was he didn't want Shane to be able to live fat off his rich daddy's money for the rest of his life, which sounds good, but guess what, Jeremy? Shane Ragland then moved to Pennsylvania so he wouldn't have to have his wages garnished.
It's just sometimes the world is just unfair. Like why he didn't spend the last 20 years being raped in prison is just it's going to keep me up nights.
Jeremy, here's a little update on little Shane Ragland. Poor little Shane Ragland. December 30th, 2012. This is a story from WDRB.com. Louisville Metro Police say a man who was convicted of killing a University of Kentucky football player in 1994 was seriously injured in Saturday afternoon's accident at the interchange of I-64 and 265. No, Jeremy. No, goddammit. Police say that Shane Ragland was driving a Dodge Durango, because of course that douchebag was, north on the Gene Snyder Freeway. Hey, this is a place that you drive every day. Just before the ramp to I-64 eastbound, when he lost control, struck a guardrail, his vehicle overturned, and he was thrown from the car. No, Jeremy! No!
Oh.
Ragland was not wearing a seatbelt. He was ejected from the car. He was transported to the university hospital with officials say are non-life-threatening injuries. Well, fast forward because, again, that was 2012. Oh, Shane Ragland, he's crippled. God damn it, he can't walk anymore, Jeremy.
It's like Final Destination. Like he keeps just getting like squeaking by, but death has to course correct and keep coming after him.
Right.
Like, motherfucker, you were supposed to be beaten to death by a fucking rabid UK fan with a pipe in prison. Like, you keep sliding by. You keep just getting out. You know what? Death is eventually going to get him.
Well, there's going to be another course correction, too, because I don't see. Here's the thing. I didn't look into the fucking relationship with Shane Ragland and his rich father. I don't know what that is now. Honestly, we live in Lexington. I could probably ask one person and get the answer to that. So hit us up on Twitter at Obtuse Podcast if you know. But it seems like he doesn't have all that money anymore. He's in Kentucky. That wrongful death lawsuit fucked him. He got all crippled, and he needed a goddamn wheelchair. Well, thank God. This is from Louisville WHAS 11. A foundation. Well, I'm going to get to the article. A foundation came forward, Jeremy, and they were going to give Shane Ragland a custom wheelchair because that's a good company, right? It's a nice company. People who can't afford wheelchairs, they find them. Yeah. They give them chairs. They don't do a background check.
Did somebody clip the brakes on the chair?
A foundation that provides custom wheelchairs to people who need them now has taken back its offer to Shane Ragland, who pleaded guilty to killing a UK football player in 1994. The Daryl Gwynn Foundation says it relies on rehab centers to recommend recipients, and it had no idea of Ragland's troubled past. The foundation said that it got strong feedback from people who informed them that he killed a motherfucker. The foundation said giving the wheelchair to Ragland would not be in the spirit of their mission. And Jeremy, again, you think that's going to be where the Shane Ragland story ends. You think that is going to be,
I think that's where it ends. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it ends there, right?
2014, convicted killer Shane Ragland in court after abuse allegations. No. The girlfriend of Shane Ragland, convicted of killing a UK football player, asked a judge on Thursday not to enforce a protective order she sought against him in December. Christy Allen. Yeah, that does sound like the name of a chick that Shane Ragland would go to court over. Christy Allen appeared without an attorney and told the judge that she didn't mean to request the order, and Shane's a good guy. He just hits her. Well, good. Well, I'm God damn it. So this motherfucker was out there hitting chicks, messing with their minds, getting these wheelchairs. I don't know. I'm fascinated by it. I can't stop reading about his exploits. What do you think, Jeremy?
I don't know, man. I think someone should just him up in fire.
I don't think you can say that.
Look, man.
I'm not going to edit it. I agree with you. He's a piece of shit. He's a piece of fucking shit.
Yeah, he's trash.
Honest to God, this is a motherfucker. This is a rich motherfucker who, and you can tell too, because he killed him in 94. When you look at the transcript of what he told the chick in 2000, Amy Taylor, he says, well, I regret it, but what do you have to do? You have to move on.
It's really easy for the murderer to say. It's always a very easy thing for the murderer to move on.
That's what I'm like. I guarantee that you think about shit just as much as I do. Isn't there shit that you've done in your life, whether it's a small little offhand thing you said to a grandparent or just something nasty that you did, that for the rest of your life you at least hold on to some small degree and go, man, I wish I could go back and change that. It sounds like Shane Ragland didn't even have that. You know what I mean? It sounds like he dealt with that the way that, he felt guilty about cheating at Monopoly one night when he was playing his brother. But what can you do? Life goes on.
It's I Googled Shane Ragland, and it's a lot of pictures of him in his brand new hover round.
Oh, seriously? Let me see this.
It couldn't have happened to a better person.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, look at him. God, look at that fucking piece of shit.
He looks like he's going to do a commercial for mobility scooters.
That fucking asshat Jack Dick. Look at him. Yeah. He's fucking balding up there. Look at his little fucking limp hand. Yeah, you can't even give me the finger, can you shit fuck? Yeah. And I think that's going to be a great way to end the episode. Shane Ragland can go fuck himself. Shane, you know where I am. Next time I see a big guy, I'll ask for a high five and I'll watch you cry. We're going to be back next week. And again, not that we have anything against the paralyzed, just this particular.
So what happened? We're closing in on finishing this episode, and you decided to make a bet with yourself to see if you could get this episode to never see the light of day?
Well,
how can we make sure this episode never goes up here? Let's see.
I get mad. I apologize.
No, trust me, I get it. I literally proposed the idea of straight.
Look, I don't mind. I don't care if these comments, like, if I fucking ever run for president, let's just follow me here. And those comments came out like, Kyle Fields makes fun of Shane Ragland's crippled hand. Like, oh, but he can go fuck himself. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I think you're still going to get the Central Kentucky vote.
Yeah, that'll be the only place.
Yeah.
That'll be the only place. And the only place that you can find old episodes of this show, listen to that segue, is obtuseangles.libsyn.com. You like true crime episodes just like this one, my friend? Well, guess what? Boy, howdy, we got a shit ton more. Oh my God, if you just stumbled across us, bro, that's how we designed this show, for you to go back and listen to all of these episodes. Binge them, man. You could do so everywhere. Spotify, Podcast Addict, Apple Podcasting, Stitcher, everywhere in between. They are hashtag Evergreen Man. Oh, and if you've made it this far, tasty boy, why not lick us on Twitter at Obtuse Podcast? That's your direct line to this show. Like us on Facebook. Check out us on YouTube. Yeah, content is uploaded sporadically, but when it is, it's in spurts of milky goodness, guaranteed to get all up in that hair with our giggles. My name is Kyle Fields at FunnymanFields, Peckerboat.com. That's where you can see where I'm going to be. Jeremy Sutherland is at Sutherland JB, and he's going to be the one who tells us goodbye.
Goodbye.